Are you in a relationship, or would you like to be in a relationship? Would you like to improve the relationship that you're in? Did you fall out of love? Are you bored? In this video, I'm going to examine some questions and answers that have come into me about relationships. I think you will find it very enlightening and understand more about the rules of successful relationships. I'll see you in the video. Okay, so relationships are, probably one of the most important aspects of our life. Certainly the intimate relationships in our life, the closest relationships, as well as every other relationship, because relationships, especially the close ones, they can also be in business or in friendships, follow very similar rules. Okay, so there are rules in a relationship. Some people call them the rules of engagement and so on. Many classes and videos have been done about them. I will be sharing with you some of the spiritual understanding according to the great sages, which go back thousands of years, and actually the coded understanding of the Bible that explains what is a relationship, how to make it as successful as possible, and what is its purpose, its true purpose in our life. So, to start off, let's just start with the first question, okay? And the first question is, how do I know if I am in a healthy relationship? Well, the simple answer is, are you growing? Are you growing? Do you feel you're growing? You see, there can be relationships with two people that are just enjoying each other's company and they're having a good time. Nothing wrong with it. But also, they're not going anywhere, okay? So they're simply supporting each other's, could be desire for pleasure, desire for fun, and that's okay, but that's not a long-lasting relationship. Long-lasting relationships are generally those one supports the other in some form of growth process, okay? So that's a general rule. Now, individually, how that looks, depending on what each one does and what each one needs in a given relationship. But again, we don't want to go too much into detail. The general rule here is, do you support each other in the growth area of where you are? Two people can be in different areas of growth, can be business growth, spiritual growth, personal growth, and so on. Are you able to support each other's growth process? If the answer is yes on both sides, then that's probably a healthy relationship. At least it's a good starting point for health in a relationship. Okay? We're all here to grow. Without growth, we stay stagnant and eventually get stale, bored, and it dies. Okay? That goes with anything. Okay. How can I communicate more effectively with my partner? And that's a great question. Communication is extremely important in any relationship. And that begins with us, and that begins with the truth. Okay? Now, the truth is an interesting thing because you don't necessarily want to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth at every interval. Now, what do I mean by that? I understand that sounds bad initially, but it's not. What does that mean? That means, and you can check a video that we did recently about the truth hurts, okay? The truth hurts. Now, very often, especially in a very intimate and close relationship, you know that person better than most people do. And chances are you're also familiar with that person's ego, that person's negativity, if you will. We all have it, so it's no secret. It may be secret to us personally, but it's no secret to anybody else. The issue is we need to be very, very careful, especially in a close relationship, because we do tend to trust and take each other more seriously than we would take a stranger. So we have to be more delicate, especially when it comes to criticism. So criticism should be extremely limited, okay? And always limited to constructive criticism. Now, constructive criticism also has to be very diplomatic. So the way you say things is extremely important. So you don't just come out and blurt out, you do this and I think you should do that. That's better. No. It's not going to turn out better. I can almost promise you that. So instead, we need to be very soft-spoken and very soft and say, this might work out better this way, as an example, okay? You have to find your way of speaking gently and in a way that will be supportive. In other words, not tearing down the house, right? And this is especially true for women. Women can be very blunt when it comes to criticizing men, as an example. And men are very fragile. Yes, that's true. Men have ego. Women have pride. Men have ego. And the ego is very fragile. So women need to be, again, especially in a marriage situation or in, when you're living with each other, again, when you're very close in an intimate relationship, you need to be gentle. So that's the first rule. Need to be gentle. Be diplomatic. Think, how can I build? Not how can I be right? That's the general rule for both male and female. Now, men to women, again, men are logical. Women are emotional. So men can, just treat a woman like he's talking to his best friend maybe and speak very logically. A woman might be easily hurt by the man because he's just speaking matter-of-factly and not being sensitive. So men need to awaken the sensitivity, especially when it comes to being critical. In fact, men should never criticize. Never. A woman. Never. Again, never criticize a woman. That doesn't mean you can't assist and support by, perhaps giving examples of your own experience. Don't use other people as an example because she will think you're comparing her to somebody else. That will be a no, okay? That's a no-no. But again, what you feel she can do, perhaps that might work out better, that she might, and other examples where she maybe did do this and it was beneficial. In other words, reminding, because she's strong and she has the power to do it maybe this way, okay? If you understand where I'm going, again, this idea is going to build a better communication and also tackles, one of the other questions, which is how do I build trust? Because if you're going to hurt me, I don't trust you, right? I don't trust you with my feelings. I don't trust you with my emotions. I feel you're judging me. And if you're going to judge me, I'm not going to open myself up to you. That's very simple, okay? So, dealing with this idea of trust, how do I build trust with my partner? Well, one of the first and most basic ways is give trust. So one of the best ways to build trust is to give trust. To trust. When you truly trust your partner, they will tend to more trust you. When you want to open someone up, be open. I mean, that's the rule. Be open with them. Now, I may want you to be open with me, but I'm closed and I don't want to share my feelings with you. Now, I don't want to overcomplicate this idea, but from the male side of view, there's a difference between being open and being too emotional. Okay? Emotional vulnerabilities, it's not something a man should be sharing with a woman, because then that man becomes a woman. Women share emotions with each other. I don't believe any woman truly wants a man who is going to say, oh, I felt so hurt and I did it. No, a woman desires a leader. A strong man, as we said in other places, does not complain. Certainly does not complain to his woman, and is not vulnerable to little emotional hurts and things and that. The opposite. He is supportive of the woman with her emotional crisis and her emotional vulnerabilities and so on. That's a good leader. That's someone who's in control of himself. That's actually more attractive to a woman than a man who is acting like a woman, which is not a problem necessarily, but that's not a successful relationship, okay? Because, again, the average woman will not find that attractive, certainly not long term. We're all emotionally vulnerable from time to time, God forbid, in a loss situation and so on. There's always exceptions to the rule, but this should definitely never be the rule. And you feel free to comment and tell me if you have a different opinion about that. That would be fine. Another question, popular question. What should I do if I feel I'm falling out of love? This is a good question, because is this actually possible? I mean, what if you fell in love and now you don't feel the same spark, shall we say? Well, what I'm about to say might be a bit shocking, but it's the truth. And if you look around at most relationships today, it bears out that truth. And what's that truth? If you fall in love, you fell. I mean, it's a weird expression. No, think about it. Falling in love. Why falling? Why not rising in love? No, it's falling in love, because when you start a relationship off hot and heavy, and you're texting till 4 a.m. and you want to spend every minute with that person, and I don't have to tell you, you've probably been there and done that. Is that a forever situation scenario? And the answer is 99.9% no, it isn't. It's the initial excitement. We like excitement, the initial excitement of stuff. But when we're initially excited, chances are we'll be off to the next excitement, whatever it happens to be, because we like to be excited. That's the truth. So, falling in love is not the ideal situation from the get-go. What is? And this is difficult, what I'm about to say, but if it's possible for us to resist the urge to fall into so much reactive behavior of, again, the overindulgence of the other person in the beginning, the texting till 4 a.m., the, immediate gratification of being with that person a lot, it's not long-term healthy. Now, if your interest is short-term, different. You do what you want, okay? There's no guarantees about anything, and you're not looking for anything in short term. Great. But if you're looking for a long-term relationship, the rules do change. What are they? Hold off on all of that high voltage energy. Play it more cool. Don't fall in love. Build it. Build it. What does that look like? You start slow. You don't give it all away. You resist spending every moment with that person. You have a life, and now this person doesn't automatically become your entire life. It requires strength, it requires resistance. But if you are interested long term in a relationship with this person, this is how to play it. Why? Because you build it. Because real love, true love, is not something you fall into. It's not something instantaneous. It's not love at first sight. Sorry to burst the bubble. True love is something which is built over experience, over time. You know, it's interesting. The Bible gives us a hint when it speaks about Isaac meeting his future wife, Rebekah. It says, actually, he married her, then he loved her, which is kind of a strange, order of things. Don't we love a person first and then we marry them because we love them? Actually, no. You learn what a relationship requires, what two people need in a relationship. In other words, there is a criteria, ingredients for successful relationships. And if two people meet that criteria, and again, I know this is a tall order, then spend time with each other. You don't necessarily feel that intense love, and that's okay. Again, he married her, then he loved her, meant this is the order of getting close to each other and then working with each other, because through the work you do with each other, through learning each other, through learning how to respect each other, through learning how to appreciate each other and who they are, what they are, you begin to create love. Real love is a creation. It's not an emotional feeling that I feel because I like you and now we've been together and I really, like how you are and so on. That's fake love. That's not love. Sorry. It's not. And what's the proof? Well, people who actually do get married, more than 80%, what happens? They divorce. So that's not ingredients. It's not the ingredients for successful relationships. The successful or the real ingredients for relationships is building it. And when you build it, you will receive the payoff of love that lasts and builds. And that tackles another question. How do I know I'm in the right relationship? Well, very simple. How do you examine a stock if you want to invest in it? Look at the trend. Look at the trend. And if you don't understand that, I mean, you understand there's a graph. And people look at the trend. So if it starts here, and look at the trend. There's ups and downs. But generally, if the trend is upward, that's a good relationship. It's growing. In other words, every relationship has ups and downs. We must have downs. We must have downs. Get over the idea, the notion that a good relationship never has arguments and never has downtime. No, there are. In every healthy relationship, there must be some level of down. I don't mean dramatically down, but there are ups and downs. But if the general trend is upward, that's good. That's a good relationship. The purpose of the downs are to cleanse. It's to cleanse. It's to create a higher level of appreciation. It's to, go to higher levels. Always downs in our life are for the sake of creating more up. But if the trend is up, again, that's a good sign, and that is a sign of a healthy relationship. Well, I think that should wrap it up for this session of relationship questions and answers. Be blessed. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, and I'll see you very soon on the next video. All the best.